Mr. Buchanan?
Don't really have anything new, just keeping it on the forefront of everybody's minds. Did have a couple answers to some questions that were asked the last time we discussed this. The question was posed to me, how much money have we spent financing debt in the Highway Debt Service Fund? So from what I could pull up, it looked like about $368,000 in interest on notes over the course of several years, and $1.4 million in interest on bonds. So roughly $1.8 million has been spent in interest, not in principal, but just interest on financing for the highway department for various needs. So I stand by my recommendation that there is too many needs out there still present. 5 bridges on list 1, an aging fleet, roads that are less than ideal, and so I think the need is there and justifiable on why we would transfer those funds over from the debt service, which is going to be satisfied, over to the Highway Capital Projects Fund. I also just did a quick look on our fleet at the Highway Department, and it appears that 37 vehicles are old enough to qualify for a antique plate. Just thought I would mention that to the commission.
So Eric, so what sounds so maybe like you just said, when this debt was formed, it doesn't have any cash available to pay for the dump trucks, I believe?
I looked back through that. There was actually more than just that uses. There was some paving jobs in there as well. But yes, various highway capital projects.
Because we took out a loan, the county taxpayers, since that loan started, has cost $1.8 million in just interest on them.
Bonds and loans, yes, correct. Which is always the case. Anytime you finance something over buying it outright, I mean, it costs money to borrow somebody else's money. It's the same way in your personal life. It's no different here at the county level. Just moved larger amounts of money. So,
What year did that start?
the oldest debt I referenced today on the notes would have ran from 04-05 through 11-12, and then the interest on the bonds would have ran from 10 through present day. So again, I mean, this is, don't have to have a direction today, but probably in the next month, if we don't have an answer on the budget committee, I mean, it's going to take the budget committee to make a recommendation to get it on the floor of the full commission, which then would require 2 meetings, 2/3. So although we don't have a fire today, it's time for start deliberating towards a decision. So I would say really by next month, I would really love to see the budget committee come to terms with what the recommendation will be and put it on the floor, because, again, the full commission is going to have to digest it as well. And if we have any pushback there, tabling issues passing 2/3, and it's a strong vote you're going to need. So this process could definitely drag out.
Eric, so let me ask this. If we were to keep this in the highway department, can it be earmarked for equipment purchases only?
Yes, but I would not recommend that. And the reason being, I was talking to some people at one of my last meetings, and they suggested not restricting it to the point where you can't use the funds for your current need. So although I highlighted today an equipment need, 4 or 5 years down the road, the need may be a bridge grant match. The need may be a paving project. And when you start restricting those funds, you might say, well, there's a balance available in that capital projects fund, but not for that. So they cautioned against that. Now, if that's the commission's will, though, to answer your question, yes, you absolutely can do that and say, we're going to take this wheel tax portion and make it for vehicle purchases only. But they recommended keeping it in your highway capital projects, and then by nature, it's already restricted. You're never going to spend anything out of that project that you all haven't green-lighted already anyway. There's no standing allocations in that fund. So they felt like that was sufficient controls already that you all have in place by doing so. But yes, you can.
Did we, when we did the tax increase, did we not have a highway capital project fund?
You did?
In that?
But then we cut it significantly.
Yes.
Before it passed.
Yeah, you created it, and it has 2 pennies in it. So, I mean, it's so it's in its infancy stages. I mean, it's great. It's a commitment to it. I mean, it's positive. But I don't think they're gonna get all 5 bridges off our list and get his fleet modernized and pave all the roads in the county with the 2 cents. So
2 cents worth of money on the tax.
2 cents on the tax rate, yes, there's not literally 2 pennies in there, yes. Absolutely, absolutely, good point. Hey, please, Jeff, don't put 2 pennies in there.
I knew what you were talking about.
He got shorted back.
No, it's actually not, and that was one of the issues with securing funding there, was that we have 5 bridges on list 1, and they weren't overly interested in hearing us complain about list 2, when we still had bridges unsatisfied on list 1. So, our inactivity has kind of got ourselves in our own way on that. So it's really been imperative to clear off list 1. And I know Mark's working every angle he can to try to secure additional funding, but I know it's one of the hurdles he's come up against is we have bridges on list 1 that we've not satisfied yet.
The only way we can jump ahead of those 5 is to use our own money.
Which is what you all tentatively did with the general fund hit, which is to hopefully, prolong the life and get our tonnage back up to an acceptable level. But and it's a great fix, but it's ultimately a temporary fix. And so if we're going to have our long-term planning hats on, we haven't permanently solved that problem yet.
Well, so we've been talking about the wheel tax money that exists that, that fund is going to ensure we won't have to put it on the highway debt service. We've been talking about that for a while. Would the committee like to go ahead and make a recommendation now so that we can get ahead of it?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we take the wheel tax, $6 of wheel tax money and allocate it to the Highway Capital Projects Fund.
Motion's been,
I like that. I think it'd be cleaner if we said the 1/3 of the original 20 that was dedicated to highway debt service. And that way there's no question on the amount.
Okay, 1/3 of the original 20 dedicated to Highway Debt Service Fund and allocate that to Highway Capital Projects.
Perfect.
I'll second it.
all right, seconded by Mr. Palmer. I'm gonna let Miss Sarah take it. That was a pretty wordy.
Before we vote, I think that's probably the most responsible thing to do. $1.8 million in interest. Because we didn't have cash on hand to pay for some equipment over 20 years. We could have done a lot with $1.8 million over the years. People want the roads fixed, and we hear that we don't have equipment to work, and just like Eric said, we've got 37 vehicles that qualify for an antique plate. I hate to be working with that kind of equipment on a daily basis. I think the most responsible thing is to put it back into this fund, to have cash on hand and to fund our other projects.
Yeah, because we're just getting further and further and further behind. I don't think.
I did receive some feedback from a taxpayer who, very nice, but his opinion was that you don't need to be banking my money, right? Basically, if you need something down the road, then bring it to us and tax us for it. And I thought a lot about that. He, obviously was in favor of taking it off the tax rate. And he and I had a good conversation about it. But if we used that model, you would have to do the same thing with the capital projects fund that we have, right? The existing highway capital projects fund, even the general fund balance. That's banking money. I mean, it has built up money over the years. So you could say we were taxing more than we needed to, or, we spent less than we anticipated. That's good. But I would tend to agree with, obviously, since I made the motion, that it would be best for us to have this money set aside for capital expenditures in the highway department moving forward. So.
So, we have to, and remember, when we do a roll call, we still have to account for the 2 members that are not here when we do the roll call. So how many does it take to pass the motion?
You have to take 4.
Four, correct? I just wanted to clarify. Okay. All right, Miss Sarah, go ahead and call the roll.
Robbie Palmer,
Yes.
Joshua Gillum,
Yes.
Nancy Barker,
Yes.
Danny Ellis,
Yes.
and Jason Roach.
Yes.
5 yes, motion carries.